Again in studio, this time about simple forms of coding, both software but also the network. Not simple to build pricing for every company, not simple to build pricing also if people inside of PHP want to develop on the next level, and if you want to use Perl, that's also beauty of the language that you can use. There is even microends JavaScript++ and microends C. There are also C sharp forum, but you can also use Objective C++ or some other forums like Algol. The microends COBOL is also very useful if you are looking for more software, but of course you can also use other visual forums. In the network, there is a lot of interfacing, but you need to understand that also other platforms are useful if you are planning anything more than only to build few city. You can even go international, but sooner or later you are going back to yourself and you will need to build your city also. The standard about your city should be very made by you if you are in technology, and you should actually forget on all the sectors, including technology, because the technology is not the most important. You must understand the standards of transactions and the standards of digital banking. Of course, the platforms can also serve the simple crypto, but in my book also described as a crystal. The crystal is also some sort of programming, but it's very complex because it includes the character and it protects the people. It's not simple to understand every form of computing, and in addition, together with C++ and C sharp, you can also build different type of software to really defense the whole software sector. Of course, it's not easy, and you should forget another programs if you want to build anything. A lot of people might follow the standard guide that are available on the platforms, but of course, it is very important to build some extra forums. As usual, the C++ can actually build software quite good, but you can, of course, also use Java. The Java is much different than C++, and Java can actually also build the virtual forms of the language. And if you are building your own language, of course, do not forget on every word, because every word also builds the computing language. It's not easy to understand all those built-in or different form or different type or different symbol, and it's very difficult to keep elegance and to keep ethics. It is not simple to build a beauty in interfacing or applications without software, and software is in fact extremely important in elegance when it comes to slightly more elegant people of language. Not easy to build the code robust and secure, and because of most of people that are coding do not include elegance. Of course, elegance is something completely else and not simple. Sometimes it's not simple to build C++ or any type of visual forum, because it includes different forms of objects, and also the way you are dealing with the language, it's not so simple. Some people also use microends Eclipse, and this one is actually quite difficult. Also, the microends Cobalt is not simple. There are even microends Ruby and some other forms that are the standard in application information. And of course, there is also Scala. If you are looking for the game, you should actually look for Lua. which is very good and simple. There are even some simple Java forms that you could not build in elegance, and you must design your own language if you want to keep the elegance. The compilers can be built with different forms of Word, but it's not easy to protect the forms in Void. Void is usually interfacing language, and it's used together with CTD and different type of phobos. To having a different method in elegance is very important, because in that way you can also be paid in different way. To look for standard, it's not always the best, because the standard actually corrupt the entire elegance. It is not easy to understand Java and advanced forms of Java, or even Java immigrants. The HTTP are, of course, the standards in international forum, but if you want to build a service for your city or 1000 city around you, of course, you need to look for simple forums. A lot of people think about different form of platform, but it's not easy to understand everything. There are a lot of widgets and different forms that also different company build. To build the logo together with simple application, it's not simple, and developing community, it's not simple if you are interfacing anything social. Not easy to think about networking on very, very, very advanced healthy level, because sometimes there is no health in programming. The concurrency is actually quite difficult, and it's 50% of code. So it's very difficult to work up with more than 1000 people without having a film that explain also a little bit of blockchain. Do not think that peer-to-peer can solve everything. Probably you should also add some meditation to your programming if you want to become more and more. The distribution, of course, is very complex if it is a book or if it is a code, because whatever you build, it's going to be more crystal. The crystal is again working in a code, and it's not simple working with crystal or Bitcoin. And there are also some very smart, elegant contracts that are not simple but are compatible with Java or different forms of CTD. Of course, that's more like superior D language, but it's not easy to understand different forms of health also. To build different health in console, of course, you can build more and more elegance, or you can even sell out vitamins items. The whole discovery of vitamins is actually very, very difficult, and it's not easy to processing entire programs. Networking can show you different type of wallet if you are in technology, but you must know that a lot of things are interfacing in the simple forum with community. The community is not simple form of applications, because everyone want their profile, and all those profile are actually quite difficult. But if you understand the server, it's not anymore difficult. The C++ can build simple software and compile, of course, simple future, and those language features are also important, especially what do you do with ABC macro ends. It's a platform that serves also Word. It's not simple in argument. It built better elegance, whatever soft you are doing out. And it's not very specific. If you look for more specific, you should look for C++. And sometimes it's just better that you understand different type of C++, then you can also build different dynamic cost for whatever you are looking within your program. Of course, there is also fashion, and the fashion is not pure in programming. That's why you can even avoid it some month and build better C++ language. There are different vectors in programming, and also int. The int, it's not simple, and there is a lot of exceptions inside. It is not simple to build better elements in elegance, and if you are building systems, especially with more than 1000 CD, it is not so simple. Whatever you understand with brands, it's not simple because in code the brands can have red, green, blue, yellow color, and the colors extreme difficult. In book there is no color, and the color might mean a problem or even injury. It is very important to understand that there is a lot of different book in this world, and not even one book is the same. So there are also different elegant type. Heading and making better form of the angel is also important with C++ programs and building better objects. It's not simple to build better fashion or to build better book. After all, you must do the distribution for all the world, and if you don't do that, probably you are a failure. Hello World program, it's not so simple and is sometimes related with C++, but the Hello World program is very, very difficult. Some people even think it is related with Algol, but also somehow with BASIC. Whatever you think about main function, of course, it's not simple, and whatever you want to distribute, probably you should also use micro and Elixir. Not simple to understand the logo language, and it's very difficult together with different code. Microends Fortran, it's not simple, but also microends Go, it's very limited. There are also some functions with Haskell and simple forms of microends Java. For the interfacing or anything on the platform of the web, you can use JavaScript. And of course, if you are on the start, use the start Julia. Microends Kotlin is more and more simple, but it's very, very difficult if you do the combination with Ruby elegance. Once some people that are coding understand how important it's to understand banking elegance, you will also understand the contract and the theorems together with microends much better. The microends parallel is actually quite complex and it's not simple forum. It is not easy to build better forums in elegance, and it's not easy to build the better Java. On Basic, there is a lot of platforms, but you must decide for one platform and use it well. Also, there is a lot of debuggers, and you can destroy all the elegance if you do not use book also, and you use only Linux. It is understanding also a little bit of third-party standards, but also to understand the limits of the politicians. It's very important to ignore some forms of the internet sometimes and build better platform together with software. Sometimes the software also build application, and to build better harmony, it's not simple. It is very important to build better answer also for those that are looking for better method to build their life. The main void, it's not simple, and if you are interfacing with that, you must build methods to build better Java. The Java, of course, also build the entire class and better care for health. Not easy anything with Hello World because that only build the app and sometimes also destroy it if people are not elegant. Next to Java, if you are building elegance, you can use many programming language, build it ABC, and building better function. Different forms of language with microends are not simple and are 100% English together with software. It is very important to understand the standard version and not anything else. The organization that build better discipline for workers are very important and also build more simple company. The system, of course, is built from C++, and you also must protect the basic programming language, which is not simple. There are a lot of exceptions, and it's not easy to build the better forums and better Java. A lot of people also think that programming on BASIC it's not simple. There is also the Rust language. The Rust language it's actually not simple. Me also like the Swift. The Swift is actually compiled programming language and it's developed partly also with microends if you are building the microend Swift. But if you are building different forms for the big for start, very the start of it, just use the simple C++ or Java, as also partly explained in book. But do not think about book too much if you are looking for standard programming. On more advanced level, of course, there is also some distribution and story, which is 100% not simple and is very complex, X and Y, with different integrations that might be extremely complex in elegance. Specialized microends is building software and not more and more applications. It is very important to build some sort of value for programming or STD or DMD simple programs. Also, some sort of better, healthier science for Hello World program. And it's not easy to build better science once you are building some sort of start for the software industry. There are a lot of cyber solutions today in modern programming for digital banking, but know that the original modeling is actually simple microends software. A lot of people look for a better vision, but there is no better vision. There are simple standards and the simple evolution in programming, but nothing else. Simple network protocols are usually also built from standards to C++ or simple organization of microends together with optimization for any company. And that built the simple theory about the system and the practice in software industry. Different forms of science are of course not simple and are some sort of symbolic programming. There are a lot of computing in microends, but it's not easy to build the design. And the design can, of course, also build different forms of standards, including for software and development. Different forms of engineering are not simple and go together with architecture. And of course, architecture is also built out of software. So the software is actually the basic for the scientist or architecture structure. Even to build a better book, sometimes the class is not easy to build together with the elegance class, and you must put the specific meaning together with the elegance in programming and not too much standard.